The following podcast is a reflection on my PDHPE tutorial experience and overall unit that I participated in as part of my Masters of Teaching Primary. Why is PDHPE a valuable curriculum area? Encouraging students to participate and engage in personal development, health, and physical education is vital for the students to gain a deeper understanding on how they can best look after their own health and safety, as well as the needs of others. PDHPE lessons assist in developing and teaching the correct fundamental movement skills and health and wellbeing concepts. The New South Wales Educational Standards, otherwise known for NESA, discusses the objectives and rationales, which also provide an explanation as to why PDHPE is a valuable curriculum area. The rationale in the New South Wales PDHPE syllabus emphasises the importance of developing skills through self-management that will also provide skills for life to keep them happy, healthy, and safe. The rationale explicitly identifies the need for physical education as it is fundamental for the acquisition of movement skills and concepts that will enable children to participate in a range of activities. Therefore, PDHPE is a valuable curriculum area as it fosters the development of students' confidence and competence, which results in higher self-esteem levels. So what is Game Sense approach? The Game Sense approach allows students to participate in modified games where they learn fundamental rules and tactics of the game. Like 2012 defines Game Sense approach as an aim to locate learning within modified sports games, which will give meaning and relevance to the sport and develop skills whilst at the same time allowing students to develop a deeper understanding. The Game Sense approach is supported by the New South Wales PDHPE syllabus within the substrand movement, skill and performance. The New South Wales PDHPE syllabus states that through the implementation and planning of movement skills and performance, students will actively participate in a variety of skills and concepts that allow students to engage in both planned and improvised movement experiences. Furthermore, students are encouraged to create and compose movements that are specific to achieving performance goals. Hence, through creating smaller modified games, students are able to critically reflect and develop skills more effectively. The Game Sense approach is completely student-centered, which allows students to be involved in the game. Again, this is supported within the syllabus as it states through movement experiences, students will develop self-management and interpersonal skills to support them for participation in a lifetime of physical activity. Likewise, Curry and Mooney 2014 discussed that lessons taught using Game Sense approach enable students to develop social skills and problem-solving abilities that they can use in life situations. Thus, this approach enhances the students' learning as they become better game players and encourage students to participate in deeper, meaningful learning. Tutorial 1 focused on the importance of the syllabus, the implementation of PDHPE into classrooms, and how past experiences of past service teachers can implicate the delivery of PDHPE. I was shocked to learn that PDHPE lessons are not prioritised due to teachers' time constraints and attitudes. The reason I was shocked was due to the fact that when I went to school, I had a specific teacher that taught PE. So whilst I was aware that as a teacher I would have to implement some physical activity, I was not initially aware that the classroom teacher was responsible for implementing the whole curriculum area. However, as I reflect on my positive PE experience, I wonder if the reason why it was so positive was because maybe the teacher was more passionate and engaged with the unit and delivered it accordingly. The New South Wales Education Standards Authority state that as a guide, schools should be spending at least 6 to 10% of time teaching PDHPE. This is about 1.5 to 2.5 hours in a typical week. Developing an awareness and teaching students the values of personal development, health and well-being is an important concept for students to understand, as it will enhance their confidence and competence in participating in PDHPE activities. The syllabus discusses the importance of self-management and participation within the rationale and the objective. It is also highlighted within all of the substrands. For example, the substrand of healthy, safe, and active lifestyles focuses on the relationships between health and physical education concepts and how they work together to promote the benefits for life. For successful implementation of PDHPE within the classrooms, pre-service teachers should be using their previous experience, whether it's positive or negative, to reflect on their own pedagogy. In doing so, pre-service teachers have the ability to overcome barriers and challenges to teach students positive values and attitudes associated with PDHPE. A finding that NIJDIC's study identified was that pre-service teachers were hesitant and afraid of being outside as they thought it was going to take away too much time from key curriculum areas. And they were also frightened they'd lose control of the kids. Furthermore, they state that it is imperative that pre-service teachers develop confident practical pedagogies in addition to more structured PE lessons to minimize these fears. I tend to agree with these statements because within the unit we have learnt about useful resources and the game sense pedagogy, which has assisted me with developing confidence, and I feel I have the ability to access the resources to make engaging lessons. Second, theory reflection. Within this tutorial, we learn about assessment methods. This was particularly helpful because I understood that there were many ways of assessment, but I assumed most of them were held at the end of particular units of learning. I did not stop to think of the ongoing assessment that could be occurring, much like I completed when I worked in childcare. I think this is because as a parent, I get reports twice a year, so I don't see behind the scenes at the progressive learning that is occurring. Assessment for learning is an example of gathering evidence of learning, such as their knowledge, understanding, and skills. It is a helpful form of assessment as it will guide pre-service teachers in their lesson planning and differentiation activities. Assessment as learning occurs involves students reflecting back on their knowledge and skills. It is important for pre-service teachers to understand the importance of students setting their own goals to achieve. It also allows students to take ownership of their learning and development. Therefore, this form of assessment creates students to become lifelong learners. Assessment of learning is a form of assessment that teachers will use when finishing units of work and preparing for reporting time. Assessment of learning can include notes from previous assessment types and is a summary of all of the learning that has occurred. Miller et al. Highlights that the benefit of implementing the game sense approach as a pedagogy allows students to be situated within the learning, which is better to connect the learners and their skills, both physical and cognitive, to the demands of it. Therefore, the learning within play is creating deeper learning. The game sense approach is also a great pedagogy for teachers to participate in for assessment. This is because it allows the teacher to become an observer as opposed to an instructor. I believe it is important for pre-service teachers to understand all three types of assessment so they can reflect on the students' goals, prior knowledge and experiences so that they can develop and implement fun, engaging lesson plans that will cater for the students' needs. Assessment is measured on the student's ability to meet the intended learning outcomes of lessons, whether it be theory or practical. The NESA syllabus clearly outlines outcomes and focus questions for teachers to build lessons around and also incorporate current issues, child and community interests. Practical Reflection 1. Within this lesson, we looked at different groups of sports such as striking and fielding, invasion, target, and net games. In addition to learning of these sports categories, we were shown a website that collates information to assist teachers and coaches within implementing smaller game concepts that are considered modified games. The website allows pre-service teachers to look for a variety of games to assist in modifying various sports. These games are appropriate to the substrand of movement skills. I found this website extremely helpful as it explains the games in clear detail. so that pre-service teachers can implement them accurately. Some games also had a video which was helpful to see the game in action. When looking at implementing modifications, the incorporation of Change It acronym is a particularly good tool to use. Sport Australia website explains the Change It acronym as a way of modifying the activity for inclusion, challenge, and skill development. Australian Sports Commission emphasise how players develop the ability to make decisions and apply skills appropriately within the context of the game. They also develop teamwork and communication skills. This is another reason that it closely links to the NESA PDHPE syllabus, as it states that the curriculum allows students to apply and adapt their skills in multiple ways. The game sense approach predominantly links to the substrand of movement skills, but also meets the outcomes of 4 and 5 for every stage level. For example, PDE-4, PD1-4, and so forth. Using the Sports Australia website and the Change It acronym has made me feel more confident knowing that I have accessible tools that are able to assist me in designing lesson plans that are fun and engaging for students. Practical Lesson 2 Reflection. I have previously participated in traditional Indigenous games training through the Department of Education and Training and thoroughly enjoyed the games that were on offer. I believe that these traditional games created by our custodians of the land assist in developing skills that contribute to the development of fundamental movement skills. The videos were shown to us in class, and it helped to understand the rules and the techniques involved. Teaching Indigenous games to students is not only fun, but it'll assist with developing skills and helping with collaboration. The games are very social. These traditional games demonstrate how Indigenous communities utilise their environment to create and implement games. These traditional games require minimal resources and can be organised quite quickly. They are also engaging, which allows the game sense approach to be implemented, and it also allows students to be involved, and the teacher can take the position of observing as opposed to instructing. Furthermore, the teacher can give collective advice, which will enable all students to take the comments into reflection and become more confident. Indigenous games within physical education is a significant way to combine skills and inclusivity. Incorporating Indigenous game into the curriculum meets standards 1.4 and 2.4 of the Australian Teaching Standards. It promotes reconciliation between cultures. Including these games into the curriculum also provides the school with an opportunity to invite elders of the community into the school to participate. Shea, as cited in Understanding Sociological Theory for Educational Practices, mentions that by including them in the delivery of these lessons, we are creating meaningful relationships within the community. Including traditional Indigenous games into the students' lessons covers the cross-curriculum priority. The PDHPE syllabus states that students should be provided with practical learning experiences where they participate in physical activities and endorse cultural practices, including with appropriate local community guidance, traditional and contemporary Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander physical activities, games, and cultural dance. The most important thing that I've learnt within the PDHP unit is to reflect on my past experiences and utilise my prior knowledge to implement engaging lessons that encourage participation. It will inform my approach because reflecting on my past experiences will allow me to role model and implement appropriate attitudes and values to the students. Through incorporating fun, modified games during physical education, I hope that students will also develop positive attitudes and values toward personal development, health, and physical education for the entirety of their life. I felt that all activities were current to the unit content. However, the game sense approach was the most practical skill that I feel that I learnt. I feel this is because I would feel more confident teaching the theory component. So the game sense approach would assist me in confidence when completing physical education with the students. It's very relevant to the substrand of movement skills, and this approach, in conjunction with the Australian Sports website, will certainly be tools that I utilise in my teaching career. Overall, my confidence started to build from the beginning in week one when we learnt about the challenges and barriers that pre-service teachers bring into the field. I didn't even think that my past may impact my pedagogy in regards to positive values and attitudes particularly. However, I'm really excited and can't wait to get into a primary school and show what I have learned and put those skills into practice.